All right, Tyler Perry fans. Now, this video is straight up opinion. If you disagree, I welcome it. This is just my personal opinion. But a couple of days ago on the community tab, I posted looking through all of Tyler Perry's projects. I mean, the plays, the movies, TV show, basically everything Tyler Perry has done. Which couple do you think is the best? And I put up the poll, and on YouTube, I'm pretty limited by how many poll options I could have. So I put up 5. Curtis and Ella, CJ and Janine, of course, both are from House of Pain. Marcus and Angela from For Better or Worse. Will and Sasha from Meet the Browns. And then I had a category 1 not listed, where you could just go in the comments and let me know, if there was somebody I missed, who do you think holds the title? And there were over 500 votes, 37% Curtis and Ella, 28% Marcus and Angela, 20% CJ Janine, 9% one not listed, 6% Will and Sasha. And looking through the comments here, let's see. I don't really see too many comments that have like other options from other shows. So I pretty much picked the couples that most people talk about or even think about in somewhat of a positive light, because one of the comments it's hard to pick. Tyler Perry doesn't write too many happy relationships, which is actual fact. So before going any further into what I pick, and I honestly have posted about this several times already, so most of you probably already know who I think is the best couple, but make sure you give this video a thumbs up to show you like it. Hit that subscribe button. Click on the bell and turn on the notifications. It really is important. And finally, follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. I pick CJ and Janine because, to me, when I think of best couple, I think of a couple where they aren't perfect, but they grow through their struggles, because I feel like CJ and Janine are the embodiment of growth and development, because of the fact that I can understand why people will pick Curtis and Ella. I mean, yeah, they've been married for a long time, and, Curtis gets on Ella's nerves, but at the same time, she can help keep him grounded. And, of course, she takes care of him and stuff like that. But to me, I'd rather see the process as opposed to just a picture perfect couple. You know what I mean? Where it's like we actually get to see the struggles, the ups, the downs, when sometimes not one person, sometimes they aren't in sync, where one person has to carry more of the load because the other one's slacking, but they still love them anyway. And to put it out there, I've said this 100 times. I never really watched For Better or Worse. I think I've watched maybe 4 episodes total. I know when Bobby Christina was actually written into the show, I watched those episodes. And then I think I've watched a couple of compilation videos on YouTube where they have Frankenstein, a few episodes together, but I've never watched the series. But apparently Marcus and Angela must be one hell of a couple, because they got a lot of votes. I know some people were in the live stream the other day were saying, well, I mean, of course they're a good couple. Why do you think Tyler Perry made an entire series around them? Touche. And I believe they were from the Why Did I Get Married films, if I'm not mistaken. Now, remember, guys, I know people look at who I am now versus who I was. Well, yeah, people look at how I am now in the Tyler Perry fan base, and they assume I've always been this diehard fan who studies everything up and down. No. I was a consumer of the work when it was coming out when I was younger, but I wasn't studying everything. I wasn't talking with the cast. I wasn't tweeting about the movies. No, I just literally watched it in passing. So I don't know much about Marcus and Angela from For Better or Worse. So when I say CJ and Janine are the best, but you say Marcus and Angela is the best, I can't really debate you in regards to that option, because I don't know them that well. But all I got to say is, you got Janine, who was an addict, burned down the house. The family tried to help, but she didn't want to go to rehab. And then, they eventually did. Then they got the divorce, and then they started dating other people. And after that, they eventually got back together, after it turns out that after a drunken night, Janine got knocked up. They had twins. Now we fast forward. I don't know how many years later that season 8 of The Pains takes place after season 9 takes place after season 8, with with Jasmine being 17 and Malik 20. And some people in the comment section on the video I made about, their ages, some people are like, no, Jeremy, they actually mentioned that. Oh, hang on. Let me pull up the comment to make sure I get it right. 'Cause I think somebody was saying that it was stated that Malik was mentioned to be 18 and living in a dorm, but let me double check. Just bear with me. Yeah, Malik was 18 in 2012. LOL. He went to his dorm. Jasmine was like 15. So I'm guessing that the promotional information that was stating like, oh yeah, season 9 takes place 5 years later. Then at one point it was 8 years later. So is it 2 years later? I honestly don't know, and I don't care. So basically, not only did we see the dynamic of CJ and Janine, but we also see how the kids were impacted. Like I remember there was one point in like House of Pain where Malik, it was speculated by like, Curtis, if like, Malik was gay because he was like, they found him with a doll and, and I think that I'll never forget this one line. And somebody was like, hey, you want some cereal? It's like, oh yeah, I love Fruity Hoops. And then Curtis like, you would, son. But then CJ and Malik actually sat down to talk about it. And it wasn't that Malik was gay. It was almost like Malik was trying to be like a mother-like figure for Jasmine because Janine had walked out on him. So that was a touching moment because it wasn't just Janine being an addict and gone. We actually got to see the impact on how that affected their kids. And then they grew from that. And yeah, even while they were dating other people, we still see the dynamic of Jasmine and CJ and, Jasmine and, Janine. And of course, Malik's in the mix too. So what I feel makes CJ and Janine a strong couple is also the dynamic they had with their children and, other family members. And that's not even counting the twins either. But I mean, even after they got back together, Janine, I think another episode I remember is when CJ called out Janine for being an addict again, not necessarily with drugs, but the fact that she was being addicted to her work to the point where she really wasn't being as good a mother to the twins as she could be because she was always working over and everything. So she was substituting one addiction with another. And they grew through it. So regardless of how many years allegedly have passed between season 8 and season 9, they're still together. They're still a loving couple. And I like that so much about them. Hence why I said that I was kind of upset when it was really thought that CJ and Janine would play the new Curtis and Ella, with Malik moving in with his pregnant girlfriend and everything. And, oh, wow, see what happened. What goes around comes around. You move back into the house and everything. I really thought they were going to take over that role. But instead we have Curtis and Ella, taking up a lot of screen time, talking about nothing. I feel like Ella brings more to the show than Curtis, even though I really don't like how she seemingly is pushing Miranda to Calvin. But overall, I feel like CJ and Janine embody that love has its ups and downs, but if you truly care about the other person and vice versa, then you can make it through anything and everything. Nobody's perfect, like even after someone falls, if you truly forgive them, you don't bring it up in their face all the time. So I really do feel like CJ and Janine have a love story that was stretched out so long that it's something that we can look at fondly, So when you look at Curtis and Ella, like I said before, their love story has pretty much been told. I mean, we just have Curtis being a man-child, Ella being the holy sanctified one, and, Curtis learning his lesson from time to time. But at the end of the day, it's like we don't really see a lot of challenges in their relationship like we do with CJ and Janine. And I mean, Will and Sasha, I love the arc in Meet the Browns when I think one of the doctors had kissed Sasha, or when they adopt Brianna and Joaquin and everything. And that's great stuff. But I think that CJ and Janine just had so many challenges. So we got to see the dynamic of that couple. So Marcus and Angela, I have no comment on that. So I really can't speak on it. And the haves and the have-nots, I think it's safe to assume, like, I don't feel like there's any couple from that we would say is the best couple. I mean, they're fun to talk about in terms of how crazy they are. But I think it's safe to say none of us want a relationship quite like any of the ones on the haves and the have-nots. At least I can't think of one off the top of my head. Jim, Catherine, David, Veronica, I'm good. Too many entanglements if you ask me. But I think CJ and Janine is the best. Now, will there ever be a couple that comes out of the woodworks that rivals them or surpasses them? Most likely. I mean, it's not impossible, but I mean, remember Tyler Perry's hiring these new people, and so they might be able to write something that's better. But remember, this is strictly Tyler Perry's mind. Now, keep in mind, I didn't really mention too many of the movies because movies and plays have a, limited time constraint as opposed to like a series. So a lot of things need to be resolved in like one movie or one play. Typically in like a play, or I mean a movie, there's like, the couple kind of meeting each other, not really clicking at first, but then as the movie goes on, there's usually a montage and the couple's doing stuff together, and then they hit another rough patch, but then at the end of the day they wind up together. That's all well and good for a feel good love story, but in terms of longevity, I think CJ and Janine are the top of the chart. Like, I remember the other day on Facebook, I posted about it. I was like, I was cleaning my room and I had Boy Meets World playing. I haven't watched Boy Meets World in a while, and Corey and Topanga aren't as great a couple as I remember. Like, of course, they have some iconic moments, one of the best 90s couples, but at the end of the day, it's like Corey has so many insecurities and Topanga's bossy. Hell, Corey's afraid of Topanga, and the list goes on. But I mean, looking at Girl Meets World, which I think I mentioned this in my live stream recently, the only episodes I've watched were like the premiere episode and any episode where a Boy Meets World character will reappear in the show. So it's great that Corey and Topanga ended up together and everything. That's great. But in regards to Boy Meets World, they aren't a great couple. And I mean, you look at Saved by the Bell, Zach and Kelly, terrible couple, because there was no foundation for their relationship. It's like it was Kelly's hot, Zach likes her, and then it became a rivalry between him and Slater. And then from there you had Family Matters, and that's a whole conversation in itself about Laura and Steve just being awful. So Corey and Topanga, best couple out of those three, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, there were challenges. But when you look back at Boy Meets World, it's like they were way too young to make those big decisions in their lives. But when you look at CJ and Janine, once again, hell, Alan and I forgot Corey's mother's name, but they were a great couple. I wouldn't say they were CJ and Janine level, but I mean, looking back, I failed to realize that, damn. Well, then again, I was a kid, so it makes sense that, I would focus more on the Corey Topanga instead of the actual parents, because Corey's parents had a good love story too. They weren't really in the forefront as much in terms of the story itself, but I just remember, like, I think it was the prom episode where Corey and Topanga they got like a hotel room. They were going to have sex, but then they decided not to. And I think in like the room across the hall or the room over, Corey's parents were there. And it turns out that the mom was pregnant. And then they were excited because it's like, you know what, guys, this is why we say you should wait to have sex or wait to have kids until you're, well off in life, or at least have yourself established, because better that we find out that we're having another child now because, we have a house, we got, stability with finances, than to be freaked out because we had an unexpected pregnancy when we were younger. So that really showed Corey and Topanga the importance of waiting. So shout out to Corey's parents. Also, I never even thought about that. But when it comes to Tyler Perry stuff, yeah, I think CJ and Janine are the best. Like I said, we don't really see any notable challenges in the Curtis and Ella marriage, at least in my opinion, because of the fact that typically the conflicts stem from Curtis just being selfish, and that's really it. And it feels like it's rinse and repeat anytime he's causing conflict. I mean, look at season 9. His entire thing is, this is my house, Ella cooks and cleans. It's like, bro, that ain't really a good way to look at your wife, So I really don't think that they are the foundational, material for a marriage, even though they do have a long one. So that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I really want to get the conversation going with a good topic like this. And with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.